All right, joining us now, we welcome House Majority Leader Steve Scalise of Louisiana. Welcome him back to the show, Mr. Scalise. Thank you, sir. I want to talk to you about, reconciliation and taxes and fun things like that. But I got to ask you, the single hottest story in the country right now are all these drones flying over New Jersey. And no one knows. The Defense Department doesn't know what they are, who they are. And you remember when we had the Chinese spy balloon last year, the Defense Department said not to worry, there's no intelligence problem. And they said that all the way until they shot it down over the coast of South Carolina. Do you know anything about this drone story in New Jersey?
Well, Larry, good to be with you. Not much beyond what you've mentioned, but, it does harken back to the Chinese spy balloon when we were lied to. Obviously, a lot of us were raising alarms when it was over Alaska. They could have shot it down over many places in Alaska where there were no people around, and it wouldn't have caused any problems to us. It would have protected America's national security. And Biden and his administration lied and said, don't worry, it's not doing anything anyway. It's not communicating with China. That all turned out to be false. And they went over every one of our major military bases. What is happening in New Jersey? We haven't gotten real candid information from the administration. It seems like they're just MIA on so many issues, but it causes more concern knowing how aggressive China's gotten. And look, help is on the way in just a few weeks when Donald Trump becomes president, but this is outrageous.
You don't suppose, sir, in the Christmas season that these are Christmas-related angels coming down to help the citizens of New Jersey escape from Governor Phil Murphy's socialism, do you?
Well, they need escape from that socialism, Larry, but I don't know if Santa's employed drones now to help him with, the elves and the reindeer. But look, I've had friends that we're going to go shoot the thing down ourselves. And by the way, they would. They'd be much more successful than the Biden administration. But it shouldn't come to this kind of ridiculousness where American citizens may actually do more than the federal government and Department of Defense. But this is our national security that's at risk. So it's not a joking matter, and the administration seems to treat it that way.
Yeah. By the way, it's not personal with Phil Murphy, whom I know personally, and I think he's a lovely man. But I do not agree with his blue state policies.
Just
anyway,
the policies.
That's right. Let us move on. I'm sure you know Phil Murphy. He's a lovely person. It's just the blue state policies. Anyway, moving along. I just want to talk to you. You've worked for a year or so about a big bang reconciliation bill that would have the Trump policies, Trump tax cuts, Trump spending cuts, Trump energy reforms, Trump border closings, Trump defense spending, and so forth. Now it is said by some that there's going to be two reconciliation packages, which disturb me. But a little birdie told me, somebody on the inside told me, hang on a second, Senator Thune, bless him, and Steve Miller, my very good friend, may be getting out over the top of their skis, and that Mr. Trump himself has not made a decision on one reconciliation bill, such as you were looking at earlier, or two. Is that possible? The actual decision has not yet been made by the new president-elect.
Well, I think your birdies are, tweeting you some good information. But look, I started talking to President Trump, as you and I mentioned, about this almost a year ago. And, talking about if we win the trifecta, get the House, Senate, and White House, what we could do to make sure we're on the same page starting in January, not making the mistakes of 2017 where we lost months being in disagreement, where we're all on the same page in January. And President Trump was right there every step of the way. Obviously, he had some ideas of his own that we incorporated in to what our first 100-day agenda will be. And so now we're at a point, we're having a lot of meetings to determine the actual mechanics of it, okay? We're not in disagreement over what we're going to do. We're going to do great energy policy that you will love, border security, lowering food costs, rules and regulatory reform, as well as ensuring there's no massive tax increase, which means holding the line, locking in the Trump tax cuts, and then going further on some other things. We're in agreement on all of that. It's, one bill versus two. We're having the discussions about it because there are pros and cons on both approaches. Maybe only one approach has been out there in the public, but both approaches, we've got to remember, you go back to the last reconciliation in 2017 that created Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which you were such a great champion of and so involved in when you were in the White House. That second reconciliation bill started with a second budget. And, as you'll recall, 20 Republicans voted against that budget. we still got it over the finish line because we had a larger majority. We won't have the luxury of 2 Republicans voting against that budget if we're even going to be able to start the budget reconciliation. So, those margins are really tight. That factors in as well.
That bothers me. I mean, to me, that adds to the risk. What happened that thing passed virtually the last day of December of 2017.
Yeah.
It was almost like a Hail Mary pass with 2 seconds left on the clock, throwing it into the end zone
and, it was caught,
and hoping for the best.
And it won the game.
It won,
It
yes.
transformed America's economy.
Yes.
I mean, look, middle and lower income families tremendously benefited from President Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Kevin Brady was the author of the bill. He and I talked about it a lot, how it transformed this country, but also created new startups, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses that saw success like they've never seen before. Let's go create more opportunity and wealth for families, especially low and middle income families who are struggling. And there's so much uncertainty with so many of those tax cuts set to expire next year. Let's remove the uncertainty. Let's lock it in, help spur more economic growth and more money, most importantly, in the pockets of hardworking families.
Yes, I mean, tax-free cash tips and tax-free overtime and lower
tax on tips.
Lower tax rates for individuals, middle-class individuals. I mean, I just don't want us to play Russian roulette right to the last minute this year. That's why I want him to do it now, right away, now. And by the way, last point, I'm the producers are yelling at me, but last point, Steve Scalise. Look, Mr. Trump, he's going to be wielding his tariff tool, okay? And I think he has to. I mean, there's so much unfair trading, and we're letting China and many other countries get away with murder. Their tariffs are way higher than our tariffs, okay? But it would be good to have a tax cut cushion before Mr. Trump comes in with the tariffs. And that's what we did. Remember, the tariffs came in 2018. The tax cuts came in 2017. That's another reason why I'd like to see the tax cuts get done this winter, if at all possible.
As early as we can. It helps boost the economy. It'll give so much certainty to people that are really nervous. Rightfully so. Kamala, we all know she wanted to raise taxes. President Trump wants to keep those rates low. But, with a very, very tight margin, it's going to be on Congress, and we want to go deliver. Let's go get these big wins for the American people, get them done early, and and then move on and tackle more problems. There are a lot of problems to solve, but we can get a lot of them. Big, big reforms that'll benefit hardworking families, lower inflation, secure our border, all in those first 100 days.
All right, terrific. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, thank you, sir. Happy holidays. We appreciate it.